Hey guys, so I'm here to re-record my video on basically the title may be how I brought my house with only $2,000 in the bank. I had originally recorded this video back in 2020, but it was a rush video. I kept touching my hair like I'm doing now, which I gotta stop doing, and it just wasn't the video that it was supposed to be, and I think I was all over the place. So this time, and excuse me if this video ends up being flipped, actually, no, if it is flipped, this should actually come out to be the correct thing. I don't even know. But I decided to write down my ideas for this video in my idea book. This isn't a new book. I've had this since 2019, but I barely write in it. Like literally only this many pages is filled out of this many. I only write what is important to me in this book because again, I don't like journals. Anything that I need to remember or anything like that is usually just typed in my phone or I text it to myself. So like this book is really near and dear to my heart. So I only write what I think is the most important in this book. And I've been wanting to get out this video. So to me, this video is very important for me and for whoever's watching because this will help you, I hope, in the future. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's one thing I should probably write down in here before I forget, and then I will start the video, so just stay tuned. Okay, so I'm back. So I wrote down what I needed to write because this is also something very helpful. I didn't just want to talk about this one thing and then not give you guys other tips and other tricks on how to buy a house. So, like I said, let's just get into it. I'm going to start with what point I said to start with. And the first point is giving you the backstory. And my backstories are pretty long, so I probably will put a timestamp in here to tell you where to start if I don't break this up into two and just give you the details in the second video. So we're gonna start with how this all got started. So it started basically in 2018 when I was working at IKEA. Then I remember I wanted to buy a home. All of a sudden it was in my head that I wanted to buy a home. It's kind of always been something that was in my head. I had this philosophy that if I was going to spend money on a home or a living situation, that it would be a house and not an apartment, because I figured out really quickly that the amount that you pay for an apartment can be the same amount that you pay for a mortgage. And everybody knows this. And there's always that debate of living in an apartment versus living in a house. And I consider houses to be condos, a physical dwelling that's separate. Condo, a regular house, anything that basically has a mortgage on it is what I consider to be a home, because some, condos are that gray area where, it's more of like maintenance wise that makes a condo different, and sometimes being attached to another house that makes a condo different. I actually live in an association right now, but my house is freestanding. That's a whole different situation. But nonetheless, let's get back on track because it's going to take forever if I do this all the time. But yes, I've always thought that to me living in a house would be a better financial gain than living in an apartment. And I've looked at videos on YouTube which talked about living in an apartment versus living in a house, and a lot of those videos pertaining to living in an apartment were always people that seem to be financially stable or financially well off, in my opinion. So meaning they were talking about investing and why living in an apartment would be better than living in a house based on investing. But the numbers that they were giving were non-relatable numbers, in my opinion. So they were bringing examples of people who were millionaires and billionaires. I'm doing this for people that are just like me, who are not millionaires and billionaires and want to buy a home. So in my opinion, or want to just have their own. So in my opinion, my personal opinion, I believe that buying a house is better than buying a home. And I get it. It's kind of like the stock market. Wherever you live will fluctuate how much your house resells for in the future. So meaning this house that I have right now, if this area and or where I live as a whole, so like my street or my actual town starts to decline in value, my house will too. And if my community, meaning my street or my whole entire town, goes up in value, so will my house. And I believe that I brought pretty smart because I do live on the water. I literally live I can see the water from where I'm sitting right now. If I turn the camera, maybe I'll show some pictures of the water like that I'm looking at right now. But I can see the water. I have somebody else's house in front of mine, but I can see the water from this whole entire side of my house. And in the future, if I ever want to build up, I'll be able to see the water very clearly. So I brought based on water, and again, location is a factor as well. And it's funny because I'm going on a tangent and I was talking about 2018. But nonetheless, it definitely depends on location. And to me, buying a house is much like the stock market. You're taking a gamble. This is an investment. It is yours, which is great. But depending on your community, your environment, your town, your house can go up or down in value. So now back to how I ended up getting onto this tangent and what happened in 2018. So 2018, when I was working at IKEA, this was actually what was my last year there. And I remember that summer we had started a new program, and I was talking to my coworkers about how much I wanted to buy a house, and how I ended up finding out about this program that was being done through Rocket Mortgage, which actually ended I think the year before or something like that. But this program was where you literally only had to pay 1% instead of the 3% that you normally have to put down on a house. But that had ended, and they basically covered the other 2%. Is basically what ended up happening. So I remember we were just talking. We would have conversations about buying a house. I remember my coworkers would say how they want to buy a house with like their family members and all this other stuff. And I remember that summer just looking into houses and stuff like that. But I wasn't really ready to pull the trigger. And then all of a sudden, I got a promotion. Not at IKEA. I ended up getting a new job. And with this job, I was basically making, I would say, $10,000 to $20,000 more, which of course didn't put you into another bracket of income. Because at IKEA, because I was hourly and because the hours fluctuated, if anybody works at IKEA, you know it goes by level. So there's level 1, 2, and 3. I was level 2, which meant that my hours could be, I think it was like between 19 and 35 hours. Sorry if you see the light changing because I'm just using natural light. So I was level 2. So one day I could be working 19 hours, or one week I could be working 19 hours, and another week I could be working almost 30 hours. And in that time in my life, I really didn't care too much about working. Like, I liked working because I liked the money, and I was making quite a bit of it because I, again, was in a department that made the most money as far as not being a manager, but being in a department. But with the fluctuating income like that, I would say that my gross average wouldn't have been able to buy me a house, at least not in Connecticut, or it would have been a really small piece of a house and maybe not something that I really wanted. Because where I lived too as well, there was another incentive that was going on. This was the incentive that we talked about a lot more, actually, now that it's coming to mind. There was an incentive in the town that I lived in for buying a home. They would help you pay, I believe, up to $10,000. It was basically a loan that they were giving you. You would have to pay on the loan. And if you lived in that house for 5 years, the loan was supposed to be like null and void. They were supposed to just wipe the loan away. But if you had to live in a certain town, and in this town where I lived, if you want to live somewhere super nice, meaning like literally 2 streets up from me, the houses started at $500,000. And I didn't think to look in another area of this town, but even when I did, the houses were still quite a bit as far as based on the income that I was making. So when I finally got my promotion into my new job, this kind of opened up a better situation. And that's when I believe in December, I believe it was right before the new year. In December of 2018, I decided to reach out to Rocket Mortgage because I thought they still had this program going on. And because I wanted to see how much I was worth and how much I could afford in the house, I decided to pull the trigger. And funny enough, I will definitely say, because I will always say this, I wasn't denied, but I also wasn't approved. So something ended up happening where in 2018, a lot of stuff went completely sideways in my life. The biggest one being my car accident. So I ended up totaling my car on accident. It was kind of like something inevitable because I fell asleep behind the wheel. And with that, my car was totaled, and I just didn't want to just buy just another car. I always lived to upgrade in my life. So I had a Buick Verano then, 2013. And I told myself back then that after the Buick, it was going to be a luxury car and then my dream car, which is a Tesla. So basically my luxury car came a lot sooner than I was planning on it coming. I was planning on having that Buick for years to come. I was planning on having that Buick with the new car. So I totaled my Buick and I ended up buying my luxury car. If you consider an Infiniti to be a luxury car, then it is. I consider an Infiniti to be a luxury car. And also with that, the reason why I brought an Infiniti was because I wanted a sedan, but I needed it to have all-wheel drive living in the East Coast. I kind of regret that now. I do want a truck. I should have took up the Infiniti dealer on a truck instead of a car, but that's another story for another day. So yes, I ended up with my Infiniti, and that car payment, I believe after everything, that car was going to cost me, or did cost me, $21,000 or something like that. And so when I got ready to apply for this loan, they were like, with your car and student loan in the way, and then my student loan was a lot higher. Okay, just had to get my dog situated. It's funny when I want to do this video, that's when he wants to bother me. I think it's because he thinks I'm talking on the phone and he hates when I'm on the phone because then he wants my attention. So anyway, with my car loan and student loan in the way, they were kind of like, you basically can't afford a house, even though I knew that I could afford a house because my car payment was one thing and my student loans were another. But based on my student loans and the fact that when your student loans are through the government, technically you have 10 years. They're looking at the 10-year pay period. So they're like, you're supposed to be paying this much. And I'm like, no, based off my income, I pay this much. And so I had to get a letter proving that I was paying that much. But for some reason, I wasn't able to get it from the freaking loan company, or I wasn't freaking able to get it from, what is it, Fannie Mae, whatever, who does student loans. I wasn't able to get it from them. So I was never really able to prove that I was really paying that much for my student loans. So I just basically let it go. And thank gosh, this was basically a soft inquiry. So it actually never ended up showing up on my credit because I am a stickler with credit, and I will get into that. But it basically didn't end up affecting my credit. So once that was told to me, my whole entire tune changed. Everything changed from then on. That's when I came up with a financial, which I should probably put it in here, but I'll kind of explain it because I don't know if I still have it, but if I do, I'll put it on the screen. But basically I came up with a financial plan on how I was going to divvy up my money to pay off my car in a certain amount of time, as well as save money for a house and so on and so forth, and pay on my student loans. So basically, long story short, where was I going with that? So long story short, it was mainly to pay off my car and to pay off credit cards and, like I said, debt and all that other stuff, student loan debt. And so that's what I did. I just went ham on trying to pay off my car. Now, I will say my situation is a little bit different than most. And honestly, with the amount of people that I do follow on my social media, I think that we kind of live in a day and age, and again, this is another tangent, I think that we do live on a day and age, and maybe we don't, maybe some people don't have it like this, where a lot of people that I see, acquaintances, friends, they are actually able to live with their parents, which is kind of unheard of. A lot of people do live with their parents, and I believe when you live with your parents, that's your best bet. And I've been told that time and time again for people who have moved out and had the opportunity to live with their parents, people who do live with their parents. This is the best time, and that is the best time when you can save money, is living with your parents. Did I do that properly? Not always. But when 2019 came and when I got that new job, it definitely helped. So with that new job, I was paying on my student loans, paying on my car like crazy, and I was also saving and so on and so forth, and still looking at houses. And then at the end of 2019 in October, I ended up getting another promotion. Now this relates to that video, manifesting, or whatever the title is, $20,000. I will also display that here. So it was that video on how I ended up gaining another $20,000 in my life, and then this changed everything, because now I'm $20,000 richer, and I'm making what is actually an affordable wage to be able to buy a house that I want. Not the house of my dreams, but this is definitely the house of my dreams. If I do what I want to do in the future, this can be a forever home. But nonetheless, it that $20,000 changed everything, because that put me into a different tax bracket. That put me into a just different bracket of what I'm able to afford and what I'm able to get with the money that I make. So, with that being said, that's basically how we get into the whole having only $2,000 in my bank when I ended up buying my house. And I believe I can actually talk about that now. Let's see. I just have to follow my notes because there's no way. Yes, I can talk about it now. So basically, I get a new job in October, and this actually helps me to pay off my car a lot sooner than I was planning to. So back when I had my original job, I had all these time frames of when I was going to pay this, that, and the other, when I was going to have money by. And basically, in that, if I don't display it here, I might be wrong if I do display it here, but I think it was more or less around October of 2020 that I would have been able to start looking for a house. And that's when I would have paid off my car. I think I would have paid it off in either August or September, and I would have had also the money, like a down payment portion. I think it was $10,000 that I was going to save. So, and $10,000 actually, would that have covered the down payment with 3%, $200,000 plus house? Maybe. I can't really remember. I don't have a calculator to be able to do math. I should have gotten one of those before I started this video, because I think in the last one I had to do math and that didn't go so well. But anyway, long story short, that's when I was supposed to have finished paying off everything, but that ended up changing with this new job. I was actually able to pay off my car in February of 2020. That's a whole extra, if there's 10, that's a whole extra 8 months early. But on the other hand, I did only have $2,000 to my name. Only $2,000, but I had no debt. I had no credit card debt, no nothing. I just had my student loan, and I had $2,000 in the bank. So I also remember, I remember it was in a car, and I don't know if I was the one driving. I think I had to be the one driving, because I'm usually never the person in the back seat. But yeah, I'm never in the backseat of anybody's car. I'm usually always the one driving. And it's funny because I don't listen to the radio, but I might have had Sirius or Sirius XM at that point, because my car was still new and it was under that Sirius XM warranty or whatever. And I remember hearing Bank of America having a program, and it was a home buying program. And I'm like, let me listen. And I just remember hearing it, and I told myself, do not forget this, because I had to be driving, because if I wasn't able to just write it down just then and there, and I was telling myself, don't forget this, then I was definitely driving. And I remember writing it down, and I did that actually happened when I was still at my original job, not the $20,000 job, but I remember writing that down. And so this brings me back into February. So February is when I basically started really, really looking at houses. I mean, I was doing that definitely before, but February is also when I pulled the trigger and walked into Bank of America. And I remember, wow, it's crazy. I don't know why I want to tear up, because hold on. Woo, bring it back. Bring it back, bring it back. Yo, I just want to tear up then. Oh my gosh, I still want to tear up. This is freaking crazy. Oh my gosh. Why do I want to tear up? Hold on. I gotta try to figure out a way to say this without crying. I'm gonna have to get a napkin. Oh, goodness. This is freaking annoying. Oh my gosh. I guess I didn't know how much this I don't even know why I said that. I guess I didn't even know how much this panoramic has hit me until just now. But the reason why I was tearing up is because I'm just gonna have to say it. I think I'm gonna just end up crying. I remember walking into Bank of America and like I was going to say this was during the panoramic, and I remember, oh my freaking gosh, feelings, man. I remember being able to walk into there. I remember, I don't even know. I don't even know if we had on a mask yet or not, but did we have on? I don't remember having on a mask because I remember like if that was February, that was around the time where it was just like everybody was or wasn't wearing masks or whatever. Like you had a choice to wear a mask then. So I'm pretty sure I may not have had on a mask. I don't think I had on a mask yet. But I remember like using hand sanitizer. We didn't shake hands or nothing. But I remember walking into that Bank of America office and talking to the most amazing lady who ended up helping me with this whole entire home buying process. She was the one who ended up telling me more about the Bank of America program, and I thank her for that because I remember going in there, I thought that you had to either pick help with the down payment or help with the closing costs. So of course I wanted mine to be help with the closing costs because again at this point I didn't know how anything worked with buying a home, which actually, long story short, if I did only have to choose one or the other, I probably would have picked actually help with the down payment over help with the closing costs based on what I ended up finding out with buying a home. So anyway, I go into the office, I tell her how much I have in my savings, and the fact that I have no debt. And I don't know why a lot of these bigger institutions, because a lot of like, what are they called? A lot of credit unions don't pull your dang, that cry. I know my credit union, I'm not sure about a lot, but I know my credit union did not need to pull my credit score to be able to figure out how much I would be able to afford. They just took my word. Because I mean, like, at this point, if you're trying to buy a house and you know that they're going to pull your credit, why even lie? Just give them a ballpark of what you think your credit score is, along with how much you make and all that stuff. So my credit union didn't ever have to pull my credit to figure out how much I'll be able to afford on a home. But when I went into Bank of America, I remember she told me that we would have to pull your credit to figure out how much you're worth. And I just like literally wasn't ready for her to do that because I'm like that goes against my my credit. And so I think that March, I don't know, I know it was either the end of March, beginning of April, I decided, and I don't know why I did it with Rocket Mortgage, but I decided to let Rocket Mortgage pull my credit. And I think I did it with Rocket Mortgage because I knew I was going to be a shoo-in. I knew I was going to get denied. And what happened? I did not get denied. So once I didn't get that denial, I let her pull my credit for Bank of America. And I did another one, and this has to do with houses that I ended up looking at and wanting to buy throughout the process, which I will also tell you about in this video. But long story short, she pulled my credit and I got approved. And this was an approval, and I don't know, again, this is something that you have to talk to Bank of America about. I don't know if I was eligible for both the closing costs and down payment because of my score, or like if I would have to choose one or another, if my score was lower or if my score was like, I don't know. So long story short, that's basically what happened. And Bank of America would definitely give you a lot more detail because I know they only pay up to a certain percent of your down payment and I believe closing costs. So like I believe I had up to, and again, speak to them because I don't remember. I don't know if it was up to $5,000 or $10,000 for a down payment, and then the rest of it you would have to pay, and the same thing for closing costs. Like I don't remember how it went, but I know there was stipulations, and I don't know if you have to be under a certain income to be able to do this. Like I don't know any of that. Because I didn't really ask those questions, and now it's kind of been so long in regards to all the other stuff that is actually easy to remember. But I would just say talk to Bank of America, because also based on when I did this over now, I remember my broker said that it's actually a lot harder for people to be able to get this it's not even a loan, it's basically a grant, it's basically free money. It's a lot harder for people to actually get this free money now. Because of the panoramic and everything going on like that, because these low interest rates are making people want to buy. So now they're giving more stipulations, because I remember my broker saying she met a girl just like me later on in the process, because at that point I was still looking for a house and still talking to her. She met a girl just like me later on in the process who got denied, and she was just like, I don't even understand why she got denied and didn't get approved for it. So I would just say definitely talk to someone at Bank of America to be able to figure out what was out there for you with them. So honestly, that is going to be the end of this video. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the home buying process and how overwhelming it was for me, and also other programs that are out there. I think I might start with the other programs that are out there in case Bank of America ends this program by the time you see this, or in case this doesn't end up working out for you. So yeah, but this is honestly, I mean, a majority of my video was more about me talking about how I got here, but that little segment at the end about Bank of America was how I was able to buy my house with $2,000 in the bank. But let me tell you that by the time I was ready to buy this house, I had $10,000 in the bank, and that was between the span of February and let's say August. I had $10,000 in the bank. I was able to do that. And again, that goes back to living at home. So I'm going to end this video here, and then I will begin the next video and talk a little bit about how I was able to save up $10,000 and other options you have for, I guess, free money, and also talk about the home buying process and honestly how overwhelming it became for me, or how annoying it became for me. So anyway, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on my socials at Maya_Love, MAYA_LOVE, on Instagram, I guess Snapchat, and then my TikTok, which I don't use, actually has a 1 at the end of it because somebody from Asia was able to take my name before I was able to use it. So yeah, just be sure to stay tuned for the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye.